Recording. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Standing by. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk number 286, recording today live Wednesday, the 10th of October. We would have actually been saying, well, see that bloke falling from the sky, 23 miles, but we're not. So instead we can say, I know it's the 10th because it's my birthday tomorrow. Ha-ha! There we go. Spring that one on. Too late for anybody to send me any massive gifts, although I think Interflora still deliver before 10 if you order between 3 and 5. But anyway, I don't want any flowers. Forget it. So I want to say thank you.
You're not getting any?
I know. I didn't think I was. It was just really an observation. I've just need to figure out how this is going to work, because we have an unusual three-way Skype action layout, but we've also got an unusual guest in the fact that Mr. Dave Robinson from Pro Sound News Europe, who we haven't actually had on the show for
a while.
Let's see if I can bring him up there. Now I think I'm going to have to do oops. Oh dear, it's just decided to bonk the video. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Group video is suddenly unavailable. So has it just got rid of everybody? Dave, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll come back. Got Dave Robinson, Dave Spiers. This is a good start then, isn't it? So I've got this sort of rather plain blue icon of you. Can you switch your video back on, please, Dave? It might require, Dave Robinson, it might require a bit of on and off from you.
How's that?
Yay! Thank you very much. Dave Robinson, ProSoundNewsEurope.com, man about town. Busy guy. You've been saying you're going to come on the show for, I've lost count. I was waiting until I've been purposefully not sounding too disappointed. I thought I'd wait till you came on live and then give you a really hard time about it.
Oh, nice.
No, how are you? You must have been busy. You up to a lot?
Well, I was on holiday last week, actually.
Oh, nice. I don't suppose. Could you do me a favour and tilt your webcam back a bit so that we're not cutting the top of your head off?
I prefer that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want you to see the grey hairs that are sort of forming here.
Well, at least you got some.
Well. That's true.
So, Dave, how are you?
I'm very good. Yes, I was. I was away on holiday last week, and I'm suitably refreshed.
Excellent. What's going on in the crazy world of commercial audio and sound reinforcement?
What's the next thing that we're looking forward to? I suppose the AES show is the next big thing.
San Francisco, right?
Yeah, I'm not going, but some colleagues of mine are. And we shall see a whole range of American companies doing their thing. There'll be lots of mic preamps and boutique microphones.
You could be right. And no, let's not forget networked audio.
Oh, yes.
What we need is another standard.
Well, exactly, because you can never get enough of those, can you?
Yes, well, perhaps there'll be a bit more about that later, as I have an idea for a topic. Oh. Anyway, Dave, thank you very much for joining us. And now we're going to go live to somewhere near Reading, to Mr. Dave Robinson. Dave Spiers. No. Sorry, it's a double Dave week. So I did mean to have some sort of jingle for that, but I haven't. Dave's on the phone.
I was just so I'll be with you 2 seconds, Nick. Can you just I'm just on the phone. Can you arrange a redhead and a blonde to Bath for tomorrow, please?
Yeah,
I'm only joking. Actually, it's Chris's today, so happy birthday, Chris. And it's a big one.
Oh, 21. Blimey.
Yeah, amazing, isn't
it? And Dave Spiers, Gforce software, makes a fine software musical instruments, as you may have noticed. In fact, as your room behind you empties, the light is growing. Have you actually put new light bulbs in?
No, I'm doing some filming, so there is a
special light.
There is a light in here.
Ah, right, okay.
I thought I'd leave it on.
Yeah, why not? Anyway, Dave, thank you very much for joining us too. And while we're there, we'll go over and see Mr. Mark Tinley, who's... No, that's not Mark Tinley. I've got my buttons the wrong way around because it's a new layout. Mark Tinley, over there in his kitchen. Likebeing.com, sound designer, sound artist, creative thinker. Without shades today.
Yeah, without shades. It wasn't sunny, but I don't know what it is about the Sonic State podcast, but the sun has started to come out. You can see it reflecting off my hand there. I'm being a sound engineer at the moment as well. My brother asked me to mix something for him, and I've been sending him different mixes, and he's been saying, I really like what you've done to it, but I preferred it the way I had it.
How diplomatic. As only brothers
I
can
quite like
do.
the sound of the voice, what you've done to that. Can you just send me the stem and I'll stick that in my mix? And I'm like thinking, okay.
Well, I suppose that's fair enough, isn't it? At least it's something, right? That's good. Good.
I think he's more of a control freak than I am, actually, and I think I'm allowed to say that about him.
Yeah, I think you probably are qualified.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mark, thank you for joining us also. A pleasure to have you aboard. And also thanks to everybody in the chat room, sonicstate.com/live. We know where that is because you would be watching it. But if you're not watching it and you're watching this on YouTube later or listening on iTunes, sonicstate.com/live, 4 p.m. UK time is when all this larky sort of takes place. Anyway, right. First setup. This is... Check this out for a home setup.
Hi, I'm Robert Rodriguez. Welcome to Troublemaker Studios. Behind me is what used to be my garage, which I never parked a car in, and as you can see, I've covered over the doors. There's the 3 garage doors with rock because I always use it for editing. And now I've had to actually expand on it a little bit.
Nice
because
pad.
It also houses the mixing stage, music recording, special effects, and sound editing.
Let's have a look.
This main garage room is now the mix room. It's been the pipe dream of every movie maker to be able to have his own mixing stage in his city or home, and it was never really feasible. A board usually costs about $1 million to get a good board. Well, those days are gone because what this isn't real. It's a virtual board. There's no audio actually passing through it. It's a giant mouse.
I love that. It's a giant mouse. That's actually quite an astute observation there. Really, there's the only reason I put this in here is because it just popped up in one of my feeds, and I thought, oh, I'd love to have a place like that to work in. I mean, it's kind of the home thing. And the idea of being able to do all that kind of stuff at home. Robert Rodriguez has obviously made a few indie movies and used that to fund his fabulous working area. And it's probably very cool that you're here, actually, Dave Robinson, because you get to go and visit people in places like that and kind of talk about their installations, don't you? Are there many of them about in the UK, those kind of large, sort of tacked onto the home type stuff, or is it pretty much your standard facility?
Well, in my experience, the sort of glamorous tacked onto the home type stuff you don't tend to see because people don't want to make it public that's what they've got. You know, if they've spent thousands and thousands, and in the case of Robert Rodriguez, I'd say $1 million or so on putting something together, probably doesn't want to make it too obvious.
Well, that's true.
What he's got and where it is. In terms of something like that I would have seen, yeah, I have seen a few things like that, but generally they don't get used as commercial studios. It will be something that will only have a limited access to people who want to come in and do their own stuff. I mean, Robert Rodriguez there, he could obviously rent that out for other people to do their thing, but I'm sure he doesn't need to.
I think, in fact, he does. Yeah, I mean, he does do that because he's got a website which I haven't got a page of that, and obviously that's where they do some of the dubs and what have you. Kind of a fairly cool setup. I like the look of that control surface. That really does kind of. That's something that you'd feel happy swiveling in your swivelly chair behind, wouldn't it? You feel important enough.
It's interesting, actually, if you watch, because I watched a couple of minutes into the film there, he gets quite technical. He gets his engineer to talk you through what the setup is, and then he goes and shows you he's got a writing room, I think, and a sort of a note, sort of a scribbling room around the back, and he talks a bit like that. I wonder who that is actually aimed at, that bit of footage.
I don't know really. I think it's probably a sort of slightly puff piece, but also this is a really cool place to come and work, and I'm guessing it sort of is really.
Yeah, I like the dramatic music behind as well.
Yeah, you could tell he's a film producer because he put a massive explosion in there and lots of kind of alpha channel stuff. So yeah, it's an advert, I guess. Dave Spiers. You're moving to better climes, as we've said. Is your facility going to be anything like that when it's kind of done?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe in a year it'll be. No, it won't ever be anything like that. We live in such a tiny little country where everything's piled on top of each other. We've got no room to spread out, have we? Really?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
If you wore a cowboy hat, Dave, you could look a bit like Robert Rodriguez, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. I could try that, but I'd probably get arrested. I thought it was a really cool studio, but it hasn't got a window, and that's the big thing for me.
Yeah, you thought all that garage door action. Mind you, I mean, who knows where it, where it is? Like you say, people don't always want to kind of broadcast the. That's part of the problem, isn't it? People like us who you want to do these studio tour type things, and you can understand that people don't really want people to know where they are because it's that sort of privacy that people value when they get to be in that sort of vibe.
And in some cases, they don't want other people in there at all.
Yeah, that's why they did it in the first place.
Just be completely surrounded. There'll be one chair and then everything else full up with stuff.
It must be a very difficult formula because, as we also know, people in that position do like to blag free stuff as much as possible. So you've got this kind of terrible dilemma of, I want the free stuff, and I want people to know that, but I realise that there is a trade-off, and somebody's going to have to come and take a photograph of me smiling with my new monitors, mouse, desk, software, whatever, and that's problematic because it sort of goes against, it's a tricky one, I'd imagine, isn't it?
I'm not so sure how much people are getting free these days.
Cheaper then?
I would suspect, yeah, they're heavily discounted with the deal being that someone can take a photo. I think there are
long-term loan. I think is the phrase that's used. Isn't it?
Yeah. But I would like to stick my neck out and say that my experience of this industry, there are fewer and fewer people who are just giving stuff away.
Yeah.
Because it's not really in their interest to give anything away if in times of austerity. But discounts, yes, but giving stuff away, not so much.
Yeah, I guess so. I know, Mark, are you working towards the dream studio? I mean, you've got a setup in your basement, haven't you?
I have got a setup in my basement. It's not quite.
I'm not getting my button pressing at all right today. I'm sorry, Mark. This is very. I'm ashamed of myself.
I'll start again. Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Oh, I've got the lower third as well. Fabulous. I have got a setup in my basement, but obviously it's not. Well, not obviously, but it isn't quite as exciting as that. I mean, what really struck me about that was that he said they had 4 HD rigs strapped together, and that was like was the film in 2004? So
so it was one for dialogue, one for music, and one for Foley, and something else, wasn't it?
Well, that's like they're probably working at 48 if they're working in film in 2004. So that's 512 tracks, isn't it? I've forgotten how to do maths.
That's a lot of tracks, yeah.
It's a lot of tracks, isn't it? To like be thinking about all that different stuff going on, and I mean, I suppose I've seen other studios of that kind of size and stature who are doing sound effects for film, and they had like various different Pro Tools booths around the place. But to have it strapped together with one big control surface, I thought that was quite interesting, actually. And am I aspiring towards that? No.
Very far away from that. Yeah.
I just want to go back in the laptop. Actually, I do. There's something nice about being able to open a laptop and just go, now where was I? And that thing that Gav got me into the week before last, the virtual room thing. That's quite impressive.
That's the Focusrite VRM technology, right?
Yeah, actually, that is actually better than I expected it would be. So theoretically, I should be able to open a laptop anywhere and go, now where was I? And be back in that. It's a virtual space, so I'm carrying my virtual space around with me on my head, like in my cans, and I'm carrying my entire studio around with me in a laptop, and they are fast enough to do that now, I think. So I just like the idea that maybe I can, I don't know, go and sit in a cave somewhere.
That's an interesting idea, actually. Yeah.
Just this mix a bit,
Yeah.
So the visual aspect of the studio can change quite a lot without having any effect on the audio. I suppose that's what intrigues me. I could be sitting in the middle of a field and it will sound the same, or I could be in a cave, or I could be in a hotel room in Paris or New Orleans or
at
where haven't I been? China.
Yeah, on the Great Wall.
Yeah.
Why ever not? I know. It is an interesting idea, that the idea of taking a space with you in your headphones. I mean, it's still in its infancy, but it's they've done a great job with that. Right, let's move on. This is another interesting piece of news, which I think Dave Spiers found. And this is the news that SoundCloud are partnering up with Ghetty images and music, so users can sync licensed track for commercial use. There's basically going to be a button when you upload stuff that allows you to say, yeah, I'll let this, presumably it also says, yes, this is mine to license, and it allows you to kind of put it into the pool so that Ghetty can then take that stuff and put it into their pool of stuff that they would then license to their moving image, and people would license from them, and you get a slice of it. And it looks like, bizarrely, that SoundCloud aren't getting anything from it apart from the added user kind of pull. So it's quite an interesting idea. I mean, Dave Spiers, you posted this one. What was it about it that kind of, are you thinking, oh, maybe I can put all of those Gforce synth demos up?
Yeah, and loads of other stuff. No, I just thought it was really interesting. It was a good little bit of synergy, and I know quite a few people who do library music, and what's fascinating is that sometimes, when they kind of get lucky, they'll work for like 5 years, and then all of a sudden they end up with a sort of reasonable revenue stream. Reasonable, not brilliant. Reasonable revenue stream for not actually doing a huge amount. So they kind of put the 5 years of graft in, and I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. I know somebody else who submits kind of pictures to Getty Images, and I just like the kind of convergence of the two. I thought it was really interesting and simple, and also from a developer's point of view, or somebody who kind of produces videos and stuff like that, I get bored of my own demo stuff, so I'm always on the lookout for new and interesting and kind of quirky stuff. So I like the idea of just being able to trawl through a kind of slightly left field database and go, oh, is that available for license? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay, let's tick that and let's have that now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to know what because I mean, traditionally the major agencies who deal with licensing for web, say if we were doing an interview or something and we wanted a music bed, and we went to or some footage, of somebody felling a tree, for instance, whatever. I mean, it's actually really quite expensive for web. It's still pricey because they just see the potential audience, they don't see the actuality of it, and it's a very difficult charging model. I know Dave Robinson. We actually know we have a mutual friend who does this, don't we?
We do indeed.
Mr. Power, me on music. He used to do a lot of video production for us, and started us doing all the kind of idents for the podcast, and ran some podcasts as well. And he did exactly that, I think, which was to sort of basically take his. Wrong button again. To work hard at it, and now it's like a sort of back catalogue that he uses. Does this have any interest? Because you've been telling me also another one of your statements is I'm getting back into making music myself. Is this going to be a sideline you might consider?
No.
Okay, right.
No. If anything, I'm going to be trying to recreate the house days of 1975 with a couple of analog drum machines and a filtering sequencer noise, and I'm going to change my name to Frösenson. Anyway,
however, not. If it's current, you never know.
Somebody's got to do it because he's not. Anyway, I know it's interesting because my first thought is great. And yes, our mutual friend Simon does do this, and still actively does this, and is making some money from it. And there was a company called Audio Network, which are big, certainly in London, around post-production houses. And I remember them being set up and getting the press release about this. I think they're 10 years old this year. And they were in a recent listing of top 100 most successful startups.
Oh, really?
Coming back to it, or in terms of the growth, or they just won an award for something anyway, basically. So there is money to be made from this kind of thing. What it kind of well, two things that spring to mind. If you look at the comments at the end, the first thing that people have looked into is the royalty that you get. And there's some, did you see those? There's some comments at the end about people saying, oh, you only get 30% and Getty Images get 70%. Surely more of a 50-50 split would be more appropriate. I don't know, because I've not explored that, but it seems that there is a little bit of kind of, well, yeah, that's all well and good, but Getty Images should be giving them a bit more a share of the pie.
Well, but publishing is generally the other way around, 70-30, isn't it? Usually the artist gets the 70% and the So
I don't know, but so if that's true, then it seems that that's slightly out of kilter. But the thing about this is that, like most things, the cream rises to the top with all these things, and if SoundCloud go. There you go. So if anybody has a track that says thunderstorm atmosphere, and you're working for a film company or a post-production company, and you do a search of thunderstorm atmosphere, are you going to, and you want it in a hurry, which a lot of these people do, obviously, because they're working for an hourly rate and they need to get these things done in a hurry. Are you going to search through SoundCloud and look for any old Joe Public? And I know the people who are listening to our podcast here, this gives them an opportunity to get their music out there. But if you are...
So if you look at it the other way around, do you think it's actually, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's why there are...
Well, I mean...
Whatever, because they have a
pre-filtered
quality filter on them, rather than the democratization of, which I'm all for, but at the same time you get any old crap out there with people thinking, well, why isn't my stuff being picked up? It's perfectly good. It's one of those things where they shouldn't be making. They shouldn't. Let's hope nobody sees this news and think, right, I'm going to get into films all of a sudden.
And presumably also, I mean, it does raise issues as, really, you should be able to you have to upload the source files, because I don't know what SoundCloud does with the source files, but it converts them all to MP3 of some kind or FLAC or something.
Download them.
All right, okay. But I mean, and this does come back to the recent experience we had with SoundCloud, where we were curating a competition with Isotope, and frankly, it was an absolute nightmare to search and filter and compile anything using their current site structure. So unless Getty get a special kind of developer interface where it's much easier for them to see what's going on, you're right. Nobody's going to be asked at all, are they, frankly?
Well,
I was just doing a project and I was using audio networks to source some sounds from, actually, and there's really a handful of places that I will go to look for sounds if I need sounds. I hadn't used audio networks before. The person that I was working with suggested them and gave me a list of sounds. What it boils down to, really, when you're working on this sort of stuff, is how well the database worked, being able to provide coherent links to stuff in the database. So the SoundCloud idea that you can tag stuff and tell people, like, go here, kind of works, but really they're going to have to, they need to be able to, you need to be able to give someone a URL that will take you directly to a point in a sound file. They need to sort out their database and their tagging. It's nowhere near comprehensive enough for this yet. It's not to say that it couldn't be fixed, and that playlist issue we had was just ridiculous. I mean, they need to open up playlists and give people, they need to be able to give the end user a lot more than 3 playlists, and they need to be able to give, in the same way YouTube allows people to create
you
playlists.
Make your own playlist. Hey, I made this playlist. I found this really cool stuff. Here's a list of it all. Yeah, absolutely, because otherwise it's going to be hard to find. I totally agree. But yes.
There's also artists without a label are also doing something. So if you're a songwriter and you write music and you want to put it in iTunes so that people can find it, because there's a really well databased music search engine, then artists without a label are doing like...
Hold on there, folks. Looks like we got a Skype quit. It shouldn't affect anybody else. I will backpedal and chat in the meantime, and hopefully we'll get Mark back in a second. So if you're watching the YouTube live scenario, I'm sorry about that. Just give me 1 second now, and I will go to... get back to it. Okay, I've got to do it that way. Excuse me 1 second. Right, let's go and get everybody back again. I'm ever so sorry about that, fellas. Let's. Hello there. Who have we got? Let's see if we can get everybody in. Okay. Hello, folks. That was just one of those Skype crashes. That was a beauty.
Oh dear.
That was a beauty.
Yeah, just all. Yeah. I was just about to say, in conclusion, is Dave.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go? I'll switch back to you.
Okay.
Actually, no, I have to wait a second because now what's happened is my yes. Just 1 second. I will do that. I've got to quit. Sorry about this. Technicals.
Can you see me? No.
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 Oh,
I got you. Hang on.
Test card.
Yeah, big up.
Oh, Dave Robinson wants to show you video. Accept. That's weird. It didn't ask me that last time. Is it gone again? No.
One day.
There we go. I can come back and get you now, Mark. Just need to...
I've seen this record. Yeah, okay, I've seen that. Thank you.
Okay.
In conclusion.
Nice. Very smoothly done.
In conclusion, you know how I'm going to conclude? I'm going to conclude by saying that it's going to be massively successful. The reason it's going to be massively successful is because SoundCloud is a brilliant name. And everything that's happening out there in the moment is all cloud-based. So we're talking about sound and clouds. I mean, it says what it is on the box, doesn't it? Or the tin. It's immediately apparent what it is. And if you're a film producer looking for sounds and somebody says to you, oh, just go and look on SoundCloud, you'll remember that one. You might not remember Audio Networks or one of the other, Sound Dogs or so. What's that got to do with anything? It's a huge sound company, but you won't remember it. You will remember SoundCloud because you've got cloud in your iPhone and in your house. And
yeah, well, that's a very good point.
Else,
I mean, the one thing that...
No, it's not.
No, it's not a good point.
No.
Right.
I just want them to sort their tagging out, that's all.
So you're telling me that Sound Dogs...
You need to switch your video back on again if you don't mind there, Dave. Sorry about that.
It's on.
Yeah, it goes and comes and goes.
Is it?
You carry on talking. It's okay.
It's on, isn't it?
No, I think it died for some reason. I'm still waiting for Dave to come back, but just carry on. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Yeah. Well, my point, the whole joke is lost. Sound Dogs have been a massively successful American-based sound library for years. Just because it's got the word cloud in it.
SoundCloud is like, if you've never heard of any of these things, SoundCloud's going to lodge in your mind much more than Sound Dogs.
I think Mark's true. And also, for years, about the time that Reservoir Dogs came out? So, it was the zeitgeist, wasn't it, maybe?
Oh, dear me. Audio Network. Oh, what do they do again? I know. I need...
Yeah, well, they could do a variety of things, actually, Dave. They could network audio over Cat5, or they could produce sound effects, which doesn't sound quite so likely.
This is rubbish.
All right, fair enough. Dave Spiers.
It's the Betamax versus VHS argument.
Maybe it is.
The lowest common denominator.
I think Mark's got a point because at the moment, I've been noticing more and more on our news items. If I use a recognised brand in any of, you must see this as well, Dave. If you use a recognised brand in any of your headlines, it does generally better than something descriptive about something interesting you might have found, which may be fascinating and really worthy and something that you think should get a lot of interest. But generally, if it's got a brand in it, then it does better because people jump to that.
At the moment, that's Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, and SoundCloud.
Well, and in our world there are similar paradigms as well. But yeah.
Yeah, Hoover.
All right, then.
I'm
Well, Sinner's Music in the chat room agrees with you, Mark. You plan to go. Right. Anyway, that's enough for now.
Sausages. LOL.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was all about. So, SoundCloud.
So hang on. So if do you think if I started a website called SoundLound, do you think that would do better?
Sound what?
SoundLound.
SoundLoud. What's that? No.
Well, SoundCloud. Oh, it doesn't rhyme with sound.
No, you need to change the magazine to Pro Sound News Cloud.
SoundLoud Nound.
Cloud.
Pro Sound Cloud. That's what you've got to call it. Yeah.
Just put it to the board. They will agree if you get
I'm not a marketing expert, but you play one in the films. That's right. Yeah.
All right then. Next up, let's sound boobs. Geeky Disco says in the chat room that would work. Yeah, he's got a good point there. Let's combine the two most prolific Soundboobscloud.
Boobscloud.
Okay, this is getting out of hand. Right, it's time for an ad.
I'm going to register that now.
I think. Well, while you do that, I'll do an ad. Okay. So I want to say thank you very much to Yamaha for the continued sponsorship of the show. This is obviously their world of apps. Did you know they've got over 20 applications and counting in the music category alone? They're taking the world of apps very seriously, and they're doing a lot of stuff. We've got synth and keyboard art and drum app, which now is synth art and drum app, 61 sounds, 7 kits plus effects, 5 songs, 16 pads. There's also faded XY pad for controlling your Mox, your Motif XF, your S90X, S70X, Motif XS and Rack XS. There are similar ones for voice editing on those keyboards as well, which give you sort of closer control over the elements, XY pad control, effects, filtering, much more sort of touch control. The other aspect that is also very interesting, we looked at Setlist Organizer, which is a great app. You can check that out on our Sonic Touch podcast, and that allows you to send program changes, put various different notes and photographs and stuff. So, like, if you've got certain settings you want to record, here it is on the spinny, globy thing. Again, another great app from Yamaha. So, really, if you're interested in doing anything musical on your apps, you've got some Yamaha kit or you haven't, you do check out the Yamaha apps on iTunes. Go to uk.yamaha.com. There it is right there. And once again, we thank them very much for their continued sponsorship of the show. Right, okay, now...
Did you just read that out live?
No, I made it up. Yeah, oh yeah.
Very
no,
good,
that was the voiceover I did, and I kept all the mistakes in because I just like it to be real, man. No, right, let's see.
I still don't know whether you did it live or not.
I did do it live, yeah.
Right, okay, right.
Yeah.
I think it's very impressive.
Right, I think this is something that you will find equally impressive, Mark. So we had lots of people being musical and then some interface shots. But this is actually quite a big deal, Mark, because and this is, another piece of software that has for ages been PC only, and now we're getting it on another platform. And you were seemed to be the most thrilled about this because you pointed this out when I said there was a dearth of other news items this week. So I'm going to let you take this one first, Mark, if that's all right. You use SoundForge, yeah?
SoundForge, yeah. I do use SoundForge all the time for everything. And I use it on a PC partition, on a MacBook Pro, or on a PC partition on my other computer, iMac computer. So to me, it seems like a really important move to get that into the Mac world, because that means there's one less reason to use a PC on my computer. The only other reason I'm using it is for Fruity Pro.
Fruity Loops, yeah, Fruity Loops Studio. Which I think went Mac. Did that not go Mac earlier this year or late last year? No? Oh, no, it went mobile. Sorry. Take it all back.
Yeah, it went mobile. So I talked to somebody at Sony, and somebody at Sony sent me a copy of the software, and I tried to load it onto my computer, and it said it wouldn't go on my computer because I don't have 10.7. I only have 10.6.8. And I don't think anybody who's running Pro Tools 8 or 9 can run 10.7. What's the word? Officially, can they? So I haven't been able to test it. I'm very disappointed. I'm going to have to build a machine specifically to test it on, and then that kind of negates the whole.
Yeah, so you need another boot
like,
partition. You may as well
Windows.
just boot into Boot Camp, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's an
but it
interesting
does
point.
look good. It does look really good, and Sony did say to me that some of the feature set from the PC version are missing, and as a power user, I might miss some of those. And I said, well, I'll try it and see how I get on with it. So. I do think it's important because the other piece of audio editing software was TC Spark, wasn't it? And that's disappeared.
Yeah.
Bias Peak, that's really good, but I can't remember if that's going still or not. Is that still?
No, Peak
available?
went the way of many things. In fact, they went down.
Did it definitely? Because I've got kind of a slight inkling that it might have come back again, but in a slightly different form or as a slightly different company. But I might be wrong.
Not that I'm aware of yet.
Right.
No.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So SoundForge really is the kind of the 2-track editing de facto standard, then, as far as I'm concerned, and yeah, I know there's Cool Edit on the PC and everything, but
I mean, there's a variety. I mean, it's one of the ones that's been around for the longest, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of
exactly.
And Sony saw something in it that they bought the company for what 18 million back in 2003. So I mean, that was a lot of stuff. And Sony have been, they've kind of been struggling a little bit with their software releases. We use Sony Vegas, and there are lots of issues with that just they seem to be completely avoiding but going, look, these buttons look more 3D, but. I mean, that's a bit unfair. But
I've been playing around with their oh god, what's the thing called? RX2 kind of derivative kind of thing. Although it's not an RX2 derivative because it's called spectral layers, and it like layers all these different. It pulls the sound apart in a similar but not the same way as RX2, and that's quite interesting.
I think the thing that I find most interesting about this is this idea that we're getting towards a place. I mean, really, we should be in a place shortly where the tool, we just use it on whatever platform we want. It's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to get to the position
agree.
where we absolutely have, for anything to be taken sort of really seriously, it just run on any hardware? I mean, and if that's the case, what needs to happen for that to actually be a reality? Dave Spiers, being the developer voice.
Yes. Proper SDKs, all of those things, and a nice proper platform to develop for. Cooperation from the companies who want you to develop on their platform. God, the list is endless. But I don't know. In reality, I'm not as convinced as you that it will happen.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, because I was talking to the Bitwig guys, which I think I spoke about at the time, and they've developed this kind of meta compiler. So they write everything, and this meta compiler just spits out Linux, Mac OS, and PC. So you get parity across all features at the same time with every build. I mean, obviously, this is still very much kind of in development. They haven't optimized it and all that stuff. Because I mean, imagine that's where the real pain comes into it. But I mean, it sounds like a tool like that just sounds kind of a bit like the holy grail. I mean, surely there's going to be. I mean, people have been trying to make those kind of things for years. I mean, is it feasible?
Yeah, and I mean, really, perspective, we're a kind of what would you call us? A middleware company. So the constraints that are put upon us by the hosts and the OS developers and all those kind of things. So that's kind of it's a different kettle of fish, I think, if you're developing a door or a host.
Yeah, I suppose you got all that. Well, there's a lot more real-time aspects to it. It's not like building an Office interface or whatever. Yes, I agree, very much so. I know, Dave Robinson. I mean, in the world of live sound, there's quite. What were we talking? I forget the name of the software that the Underworld guys used or were using for the Olympics.
Oh,
Pyramids, which is like really kind of quite antiquated in some respects, or certainly not antiquated, but as conservative in its kind of trying to add features and what have you, and it works on a single platform. I mean, is there any need for convergence, or is it just a red herring?
Well, I would disagree that it's antiquated. If you are suggesting that, I feel there's a kind of Pro Tools. That's all we need. That's almost. I know you're not saying that, but it suggests that you are.
No, I'd very much no. I don't think there is. I mean, I think it would just it'd be great to be able to go. I want to run this software on anything.
Imagine if Pro Tools did rule the world, then. Without any competition, then we would have a bit of a problem, wouldn't we? I would say emerging technology pyramid systems tend to get used where, and they run on a PC, and there's a breakout. There's a separate engine. They tend to be used where absolute reliability is paramount. And obviously, Pro Tools is very reliable, but I've seen it at the BBC, for instance, being used on certain shows where they will record with, or they will use Pro Tools for playback of bits and pieces, but they will record the show for an archive reason or for playback later on a pyramid system because they want to make sure that it never drops out. Anyway, but they're very different things. Merging and the pyramid system is a different beast, but it's used for different things.
Yeah.
In the same way as the SADI stuff, is a DAW, but you use it in broadcast and you wouldn't necessarily use it in recording. Just on that point though, about software becoming defunct, Mark, peak bias went down in June. So it's quite recent.
Oh, it's recent, is it? Oh.
Yeah, and it says, I'm reading something on createdigitalmusic.com. Peak joins Apple's own Soundtrack Pro and Wave Burner, and once upon a time, Macromedia Sound Edit, along with tools like Digi Sound Designer and TC Electronics Spark. They've all gone down, or they've all been.
I used to use Bias Deck. That was the first 4-track recorder. I also used to use Sound Edit Pro as well for all my editing on the Mac OS. Gosh, whenever it was, yeah. I mean, those
really, Sony have just filled a huge gap then, because in terms of that being able to like edit right in on things and do those. I mean, I know you can do some of those things in a multi-track, but in terms of being able to just do it on the screen and zoom in and be able to do stuff quickly with key commands, I find that SoundForge does something that. I don't want to have to load up a big multi-track and sort of set it all up so that I can edit. I just want to sometimes open a sound file, play around with it, and then throw it back into what I was doing. So it seems as if Sony have filled an important gap then, doesn't it?
Well, there is, in quite a lot of doors, it says choose your sound editor, external one, and I don't know what that is anymmo
Pro Tools and Logic say that.
Yeah. Go, Dave.
Yeah, and but there was there's Wavelabs still going strong, and
it's not Mac though, is it?
Well, no, but okay. If you're talking,
I'm saying Sony have just put, they've landed right in they're going to be the only or the standard kind of 2-track.
Actually, Red Walks in the chat room says Adobe Audition. That's quite expensive as well, actually, isn't it? I think that's about $350 from what I remember last time I looked.
And that was Cool Edit, wasn't it?
It must have been to begin with, yeah.
Yeah. But Wavelab has been ported to the Mac, actually. It says here. So there you go. So
you see, it supports my argument that we need to, that software almost has to be platform, independent. I mean, it doesn't make any difference.
If we talk about your argument for a second, I've got a really brilliant piece of software that I got free called Room EQ Wizard, which was Ethan Weiner, who I sounded like 2 weeks ago, apparently, according to the chat room. He was the guy that kind of turned me on to that piece of software, and it runs in Java, so it will run on a Mac or on a PC. The Java bit's a bit
sketchy,
but it does show that you can write one piece of code and
all you need is a massive amount of CPU to sort of get over the inefficiency of the extra layer that Java adds.
It runs really well. I mean, it does do what it says it's meant to do, and it does it really well. So, in terms of like listening to a room and working out what EQ curve to put on a set of speakers to flatten it out, it's really good.
But that's nothing to do with editing software, is it?
No, but it's a software that runs on more than one platform.
Well, run on any. I suppose that would run on any platform. I mean, if it's Java, it'll run on Linux as well. But I'm still, very much of the. I think the first people to to figure out and crack the ability to run on Linux efficiently, so you can just kind of power it up easily, are really going to clean up. And I'm surprised that some of the bigger coding houses haven't sort of let slip that that's what they're working towards. I mean, I'm surprised.
That's Audacity, isn't it?
Well, I suppose. I mean, that's, but it's still not. It's not integrated. I mean, I'm talking about something that will work across anything. Then, like the idea with Bitwig is you just open it in anything and you can run it on a Linux box, and that's fine too. Because I'd much rather, if I was going to dual boot, run into a Linux box and then have just that totally clean, because I'm not using it for anything else, and just use all of those spare cycles that were used to, springing my windows open and closed and all of that, and printer drivers and what have you, going into the efficiency of the audio engine. So I get the choice.
Traditionally, that's what you did with an old computer when it got kind of beyond the legs of being able to run Windows or Mac, is you threw Linux on it and sat it in the corner and used it as a server. But that only works because you haven't got any GUI kind of going on, and all of the Linux stuff that I've used that makes any sense to me at all are things like Ubuntu, which is just like a kind of a graphical front end to Linux that uses up loads of CPU cycles.
Well, it does, yeah.
Slows the whole thing down.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, how are you going to do that and retain the simplicity of the underlying the machine code that makes Linux work?
I don't know. Dave Spiers will tell us one day when he's figured it out, no doubt.
Yeah, it won't be me who figures it out. I can tell you.
I know a man who can.
Yes, I know 4 or 5 who could put their heads together and probably do it.
Right, Dave Robinson. Sorry,
maybe we could get the bass guy from last week who made that little bass thing, the bass boy.
Oh yeah, maybe he can do it. Well, we've got.
Probably do it.
I'm sure he could. Dave Robinson, I know that it's getting to be close to 5. Have you got a hard out, or are you okay with us?
I've got a meeting actually, but I've got about another 10 minutes.
Okay, well then maybe we should move on to, what do you fancy? Do you want the Pringles Drumkit?
By the way, just say, what I didn't get to say is that anything coming over to the Mac, being ported over and is solid and reliable, like SoundForge, then that's got to be fantastic news.
Yeah, absolutely.
About time, in fact.
Yeah, good. Well said. What would you like to do then, Dave? Would you like to take the... you can choose the topic, seeing as you're the one with the limited time. What's left? Pringles Drumkit, Chip Grooves, or Photos 1,000 Words, which I haven't.
Ooh, what a choice.
Yeah.
I think. Well, let me end with the Pringles Drumkit.
Okay, I think that's a fair point. Right, so I'm going to press go. Actually, that's not what I meant to do at all. What I meant to do was do this. This Pringles Drumkit.
That was quite impressive, though.
I was, yeah, but wait, there's more. This is the one thing that really kind of surprised me about all of this stuff is when you actually start looking for people playing drum kits on Pringles, it's quite impressive. So here we go. This is basically a company called Milden Studios who have created a Pringles drum kits sample pack, which I shall play now. It reminds me of one of the... I'm sure there's a Pringle advert that just uses the whole lot of sounds from it. And in fact, when I started looking, there were indeed... not a very inspiring demo, I have to say. But when I started looking, I started to see that there were all of these kind of things. So this is YouTube user Gummy20 doing a... But this was the best one of all. If I get to that, I couldn't play this one. This is the granddaddy of Pringles drum kits, which if I fast forward it a bit, we can... Yeah, here we go. He's coming in now. Check this out. Bottom of the tin, they look like they're cymbals. So what's next? And he's got a 5-piece kit, but wait, gets even better. Check the bass drum. Go on, get it on with it. Excellent stuff there. I mean, but the Pringles drum. Whenever I get an empty packet of Pringles, I can't help but sort of just do a little bit of pinging on the either one end of the box. I mean, it's just got a very compelling sound. And this was really, I mean, obviously it's a bit of publicity for the free Pringles drum kit from mildenstudios.com. Go and check it out, and it's available as an SFZ file, which has additional sample mapping stuff in it. You can use it with what is it? You can use it with some other sample packs, sample playback stuff. But anyway, it just got me thinking, you know, what's the sort of everyday object that you find has the most musical potential? Dave, you're a drummer. You're going to have to go first. This is Dave.
I did really like that. It was really funny, but they could have really played up on it, couldn't they? They could have had a little bald bloke singing "In the Air Tonight,"
dressed in a monkey suit.
I found, just a bald bloke. So I've found a few things. I found this new percussion thing, which I must have picked up from Nam, and I think Louise probably got bored of me mucking about with it. So she hid it for a few years. So it's just resurfaced. Do you remember these?
Ah, yeah.
I knew you were going to bring one of those. Oh, how? How weird.
Aren't they called thunderboxes?
Yeah. I think it is. It's got a thing here, and it's called... Yeah, probably.
That's the box.
Yes,
that's
Thunderbox.
Oh,
There you
great
go.
skill.
Well
How
done.
about that then? Great skills.
That's the Thunderbox box.
The box, the thunderbox.
That's
What would you
genius.
use that for, Dave? It strikes me as having a fairly, you know, if you wanted to, maybe you were working on a school pantomime where Hansel and Gretel were lost in the woods and it started raining and there was some thunder. It might be particularly useful.
It's amazing because you can just by striking there, and you can strike it with loads of different things.
Wow, it's like a spring reverb, isn't it, essentially?
It basically is a spring reverb with an acoustic chamber on it.
I think you get those funny little kids mics that have got the same thing. They're like plastic mics with a spring in them.
I forgot that I got caught short earlier and had a wee in it. Sorry. No,
Dave,
madness.
you should get that Thunderstorm Atmos and get it loaded up to SoundCloud.
Yeah, there you go. Look, Dave, that could be your first Ghetty licensed image track.
Not Sound Dogs or Audio Network, SoundCloud.
Here's another one. Yeah, why not? I think that's a great idea.
Thunderstorm SoundCloud. You've gone too far, Dave.
Pay
You should
Cloud.
look up Boobscloud, actually. I did look up Boobscloud. Somebody on Flickr has found 2 clouds that look like a pair of boobs. Very good. Not what I expected.
No. Arse Cloud, says Howling Terror. I feel some show titles coming on. Thundercloud 08. Oh, yeah, Thundercloud. There we go. That's a good one. I think
Oh, dear.
perfect.
Can I just show you my other find very quickly?
Yeah, oh, please do, Dave.
I wanted to use this. You remember when you did the weirdest instruments, top 10 weirdest instruments?
What the hell is that?
Well, it was made by Waddington's, and it's called Waddington's Computer Tune.
Computer tune.
And it's got arpeggios on it and stuff like that, and it's got an output, so you can plug it into a very very loud, and it's mental. It's absolutely mental.
Does it work?
It does, yeah, but I haven't put a PP3 battery. I was so excited when I found that because in fact, it was Simon, wasn't it? Simon Powell when he came here, and I was going, I've got this thing, and it's mad, and I've never seen another one, and that would be perfect for the weirdest synths or weirdest instruments, but I'd lost it. So I was really excited when I found it.
Oh,
Anyway.
I'm glad you're reunited.
It's not a packet of crisps, though, is it? I mean, it's not a...
No, but I know exactly what Nick says. As soon as
It's
you get Pringles, it's like always mucking
Well, in
about.
fact, when I was looking on YouTube, I found that they've run all sorts of competitions where you kind of like make music using Pringles. And I remember the advert, you know, has a, you know, it's got a bite and it's got all sorts of, you know, they didn't have any of that stuff in the sound library. I mean, it seemed a bit pedestrian compared to what noises I remember getting out of Pringles.
Well, can I just say, having lost a stone and a half in the last 3 months, that Pringles are full of saturated fats.
They certainly are. So watch out, kids.
And monosodium glutamate. They're
Yeah.
actually
Well, once
really
you pop,
addictive.
you just can't stop. As
No.
we
Yeah.
know.
And lysergic acid.
I don't recall that
We
being in the
wish.
ingredients. Hold on.
Wish.
Only
Not
if you
really.
leave,
Not
only if
really,
you leave them
Pringles.
out damp, maybe for a couple of years. Yeah.
Because it's Herbert who does all this, isn't it?
Sorry, Herbert.
Matt Herbert is the man who takes objects and records them in as many ways as he can and creates whole albums out of the sounds.
Diego Stocco as well.
Well, indeed.
Yes.
But Matt Herbert did a recent show, a concert called Pig or something, where he'd recorded all the sounds involved in the rearing and ultimately the killing of a pig and the cooking of, I believe.
How
Yeah, and it's done at
complete.
Barbican.
That's kind of concept art and music at the same time.
Well, yeah.
And food.
Yeah.
Do you have a hog roast at the premiere, perhaps?
I didn't. I missed it. Unfortunately, I was. I think it's the Jewish New Year.
Eamon Tobin does it as well. Apparently, lots of found sounds, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I just love the idea of the Pringles kind of as an instrument. And if you wanted, I'm sure if you want to, you can use the free Pringles Drumkit as the basis of things, and then maybe enhance it with your own Pringle kind of manipulation. So yeah, there it is. It's Milden Studios free Pringles Drumkit. But Mark, I believe that perhaps you might have. I mean, you kind of are into finding sounds, ambisonics, that kind of thing. I mean, but is there any specific, like, do you have a favourite saucepan or anything that just kind of has the perfect rhythmic quality?
No, not at the moment. But I do have something really weird going on with my car, and I haven't worked out how best to capture it yet. So I've got like I don't know what year it is even, 1990 something or another Ford Puma, which I drive my son to school in, and it's done 140 something thousand miles, and the left hand or the near side back wheel bearing has started to break up, and it's making this kind of
just in time for Halloween.
Noise. But I'm like thinking there must be something I can do to capture that sound, because it echoes all around the wheel arch and stuff, and it makes like this. It's a really interesting noise actually, and I am going to find a way of capturing it.
Can you just put like a recorder in the boot or something?
Yeah, but I've got to somehow get that noise separated from all the noise of the tyres on the roads and all the rattles and bumps and bangs and stuff. So I don't know quite how I'm going to do it, but I will find a way. I mean, maybe I need to get some kind of tape mic and tape it to the axle and just get it by.
I just got this idea of the wires of the tape mic just wrapping itself around the axle and the wheel. Just sounds like an accident. I'm sure you can figure out how to do it, but be careful, for God's sake.
The other thing is there's boats as well. So I sort of was trying to get hold of Leah again and rediscuss.
Oh yes, because you did that project, didn't you, where you were making a symphony of boat music?
Yes, exactly. And I'm trying to rekindle that because, well, I want an excuse to go and roar around the Solent in a very, very fast boat.
Yeah, well, why ever not? That sounds like a great reason to get back involved. I don't know. It just seems like a bit of fun, obviously, once again. But the Pringles was your choice there, Dave, as bringing it to the forefront. But yeah,
thank you.
That's all right.
I have to leave you because I'm feeling a bit peckish.
Yeah, you suddenly got to head down to the I don't remember what your parent company is now, the canteen down there, and
we don't have a canteen. We have a newsagent downstairs, and they sell very big packets of Monster Munch. I'm going to go have some pickled onion flavour. Right?
Do they do the ones that make your tongue go blue?
Yeah, all of those.
I bought a box of those for a friend for Christmas once.
Well, that's fascinating. Right, I've got to go now.
Have you seen that thing about the bees?
I don't know.
Some bees in France, and they've been getting into the M&Ms, and they've creating red, blue, and green honey, which is unbelievably bizarre. But they won't sell it, unfortunately. I think that's that it would be very marketable.
Can they just put food dye in it? Wouldn't that be much simpler? And or is that no good? It has to be.
No, the bees have done it. The bees do it, man.
After being genetically modified and turned half mad by mad scientists.
Bees get into the M&Ms.
What could possibly go wrong? Messing with the bees.
A's.
Yeah, they become C's.
Oh why? Right, I'm off.
Dave Robinson, Pro Sound News Europe. Thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy your canteen visit. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Right, it's going to re-jig itself while Skype rejigs itself or not. I'm going to. There we go. That's it. So now I can go back to here, here, and here.
I've got to go, Nick.
You got to go. Well, that sounds probably like a pretty good time to stop the show because, frankly, we'll quit while we're ahead. And now we're not a double Dave week. Feels like
Dave.
One of the Daves gone. We've got only half a quotient of Daves.
Birthday boys turned up, so.
Well, fair enough. Say happy birthday to him for me. Thank you very much. Well, that was Sonic Talk number 286. This has been Dave Spiers here on the left here, gforcesoftware.com, makers of fine musical instruments. We also had Dave Robinson, Pro Sound News Europe, who has now gone. And, of course, we've just got Mr. Mark Tinley there.
Hello.
Likebeing.com. So thanks, guys, and thanks very much for another great show. That's it for this week, and we will we'll speak again soon. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
Brilliant. Wow, that was
Happy birthday for tomorrow.